Chapter 5, we deal with internet law and social media and privacy. So those are very hot topics with all of the different ways that we can share our lives on the internet. So the first section talks about internet laws, and spam is basically when you get those junk emails. So there's state regulations that have allowed us to opt out of those. I always try to just unsubscribe. If you go down to the bottom of that email, normally in little tiny print, it'll say unsubscribe. And then sometimes even your email provider, whoever you use, if you haven't clicked on someone's emails, after so many days it'll pop up and say, do you want to unsubscribe from this? And then that's an easy way to kind of clean that out as well. Federal regulations have stopped like unsolicited pornography and deceptive emails that come through on your email. There are still people that try to surf for information and kind of phishing schemes to get you to click on links. So you still have to be very careful. I feel like those continue as soon as the Fed and the state figures things out. These programmers have come up with new ways to kind of scam information from us. But there are agencies that are trying to protect us from that type of thing. The trademarks that are out there in the internet or in cyberspace, we have domain names. So like Kohl's.com or, UPS.com, Amazon.com. So they're the company's name and then followed by a .com. And what had happened years ago when the internet was first kind of getting going is that somebody who had some forethought registered those people's domain names as their own. So say, before Kohl's had an internet site, somebody registered it as theirs. So then Kohl's would have to pay them to get it back because it's registered for so long of a time. So that is illegal to do that. They call that cybersquatting. Typo squatting is when you purposely misspell it. So maybe Kohl's, you leave the H out and it's KOLS.com, and people inadvertently go into it, and then you're selling them the same kind of product. That type of thing would be an example of the typo squatting. A meta tag, which I think this happens all the time though, like if you're looking, say you're thinking, okay, I want to search for Home Depot. So if I type that in, so many times Home Depot is not the first thing that pops up. There's other things that pop up. Maybe I got to go 3 or 4 down to get to the Home Depot actual site. But if you're not perceptive or you're not really paying attention, you may click on some of those other ones and then go into sites that really are not Home Depot. So that's a meta tag, is when they do that. And that, if you're using their specific name, that can be considered trademark infringement. I still feel like people do it though, so I don't know how they get around it, but that does happen. Then again, we talked about copyrights in the last chapter, and like I said, that's the most common type of infringement is copyright infringement, because people are file sharing, they're downloading music, movies, and they're doing it in these peer-to-peer environments, so they're not paying. So that's an example though of copyright infringement. And again, you're taking money away from those true artists that made that song or produced that movie. And it can be, if you're found guilty of it, you could be fined, you could have to pay damages, you could even be imprisoned. Social media, like places like Facebook and Twitter and all the other sites that are out there where people are sharing their photos about themselves, their beliefs and their opinions and things that happen to them in their lives. That's just going crazy, I feel like, on the internet. So there's pictures out there of people, there's people's opinions and stories and political beliefs and religious beliefs and all that stuff. So that is something that criminal investigations are starting to use, because many times they can prove intent in posts that people have made. I mean, there's been people who've actually committed crimes and then posted the video on their YouTube account or their social media account and have actually gotten arrested because of what they've posted on their social media. Even if you pull it down, it can still be traced back. So you got to be very careful about what you put out there, and know that it can be used in criminal investigations. It's routinely, if somebody is charged with a crime, their computers are normally confiscated and their histories are looked at, all of that type of stuff. So that's a big thing. Then also, from an employer standpoint, you have to be very careful what you put on your social media page from that point. If you're looking for work, potential employers can look at your social media page to get a feeling of your character, kind of what interests you, what your social life is like. Or if you are currently employed for them and you go out on your webpage and say, oh, I hate my boss, he's such a jerk, he's horrible to the customers, I don't even know why anyone goes to our restaurant, you can be fired for that. So that's like a defamation of character or slander of quality. We talked about those in a previous chapter. But if you put those things on your Facebook page or your social media page, they can be used to terminate you. This Electronic Communications Privacy Act, so it prohibits people from getting your communications. However, you have to know that if you are using it at your place of employment, so like if you're using a computer that your employer gives you to search the internet, to send emails, to do private things, they can trace those, and they have the right to do it because they provided you with that property. The company I worked at, our CFO monitored it on a daily basis. If any of us were on the top users and we were going to sites that were not necessary for our jobs, we would be written up. And then after we were written up, if we did it again, we'd be terminated. So we knew it, and we knew he was watching, so you had to be very careful. It could be any site. If it wasn't work related, you could get fired for it. So again, like I said, online defamation, when you're posting things in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever, you're going to be liable for those comments. So not your internet service provider, not the Facebook site itself, but you personally could be liable for those statements that you make. We also should be protected against privacy, but that's a crazy thing. I think if you test your phone, like for instance, I was talking about wanting to buy a product, I forget, let's say a suitcase. So I said, oh yeah, we should probably get some new suitcases. I verbally said it. I didn't even search on the internet, but I said it verbally a few times. Within like a day, suitcase ads were showing up on my Facebook page. As you're just strolling through, you'd say, oh look, there's a suitcase. Now definitely if I would ever Google it, if I would Google it on my phone or Google it on my laptop, those for sure almost instantaneously show up on your Facebook page or whatever again social media you're going to, or even your Google homepage as you're looking through those things that pop around. You get those ads that come up, and they are using your cookies and your data collection. I question though that they use my voice sometimes. So those things though are being pulled in. So you just have to be aware of it, and then know that maybe there's times that you need to sign out to say I'm not okay with you using that information, if that's an option. So just be careful as you use the internet. There's all kinds of ways that you can get into some legal trouble.